Welcome back to Class Action. I'm Jessica Aguirre, and I'm joined today by Terry Moe from the Hoover Institution, Eric Heins, California Teachers Association, and Crystal Brown with Educate Our State. Now, we first heard about Crystal from education reporter and a frequent guest of the show, Jill Tucker, who writes for The Chronicle, who wrote this about Crystal and her friends. Quote, "Do not ever, under any circumstances, underestimate the power of a half dozen PTA moms, especially really pissed off PTA moms." Crystal's organization is trying to foment a revolt, and it's a revolt of parents. They say that it's high time that parents really band together and organize as a political force to demand change in Sacramento. Okay, Crystal, got to start with you. How do you like the moniker of being a pissed off PTA mom?
Well,
I think you should be proud of that.
Yeah, it was one of the names we were considering, but Educate Ourselves.
Exactly. Pissed off PTA mom.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about Educate Your State. You know, people have groups together all the time. What's different about Educate?
Well, you know, the issue is that there are groups all over the state, tons of them. We were talking about this earlier. There's California PTA, there's Pico, California, there's PTAs in every district, and the issue is we're not united. We're not united in our demands. We're not united in a powerful voice. We were just talking about earlier that unions have been organized for a really long time, teachers unions, and parents really aren't. And part of it is that we're just trying to do the best we can by our own kid's school and by our own kid, and really that's not good enough anymore, and it wasn't getting us very far because the whole ship was sinking, and we were trying to make sure the lifeboat was okay.
And it's just a shift in thinking, because the traditional thought pattern of the PTA, oh, is the nice mom who doesn't work, who shows up and makes the cookies, and then you show up in the classroom. But this is different. This is like forming a political force, much like you said, like the unions have. Now, Eric, when you look at something like what Educate Our State is, do you see parents in a group like this as an ally for the teachers?
Absolutely. And I think when I looked at what the kinds of things that they were supporting, I don't think there's a teacher in the state that couldn't support those kinds of things. And in fact, we are constantly asking for parents, because without the parents, we're never going to be able to succeed. Just with educating the child, but also with making the kinds of changes that we need to make in Sacramento.
I mean, it really started from a teacher saying, you guys, you know, the state of our school and our district was so bad, we were in such bad, we had a $113 million budget gap, and she said, you need to throw a town hall, you need to get angry about this. And so we thought, well, how do you, I don't know how to throw a town hall, let's do it. And our state legislators came, and policymakers, and there were 1,200 people, it was in 3 different languages, and the point was, you could see how frothing mad all these parents were.
Does that make a difference, seeing parents like this? I mean, the system in California, the bureaucracy, even the way we fund our school is so complicated that it is enough to get everybody pissed off. Does it make a difference?
I think it can make a difference. It's very important for parents to be involved. Typically, they're not very involved politically. I think they can have a big impact if they are involved politically, but the problem is that they need to know what to do. They need to know what reforms to demand. And I think that's the key problem here, because I think a lot of them tend to focus on things like money. You know, we just want more money.
What are the reforms that we should be demanding?
I think you're right. That's the most obvious issue to parents, is that, oh, why are we writing a check every month and we don't have school supplies? But really, we want to make sure the money is also spent well. And in uncovering what were the issues, we started out thinking it was a funding issue. So yes, part of it is educating parents and as to what are these reforms. But you know what, the parents don't need to come up with this policy. This policy is well documented and well reported, but we have to make sure that we demand that those policies get into place.
What are we talking about? What policies? What reforms are we talking about? If I go around the table and I ask each one of you what reform you think would make the most difference in the state of California right now, what would you say, Terry?
Well, there wouldn't be one.
I'm only giving you time for one.
I would say it's a combination of real accountability and real choice. Right? And under accountability, I would say that we need to measure we need to have standards, we need to have testing, we need to measure people's performance, we need to hold schools and teachers accountable for actually teaching kids what they're supposed to know. On the choice side, we need to have a lot more charter schools to give parents a lot more alternative choices in their districts and to provide real competition for the regular public schools.
Eric, what do you want to see as reform?
Well, first of all, I'd say we've tried all those reforms. They don't work. We need, first of all, we can't just brush off the resource issue and the money issue. Schools have been cut $21 billion in the last 3 years. That's the largest cut since the Great Depression. We can't just brush that off. That being said, schools being resources, teachers do need to be held accountable. The system needs to be held accountable that is providing the right resources. We need to also hold Washington accountable that is now pushing down one-size-fits-all, draconian kinds of reforms that don't work everywhere. In fact, CTA is pushing a reform program called the Quality Education Investment Act, which is in an 8-year program where we are putting extra resources in some of our most our lowest performing schools, our highest need schools.
Okay, on that I'm going to cut you off. You've got the last 45 seconds. Educate our state. What is the biggest reform you guys are pushing for?
Well, I think it's a combination. I think we need to make sure that the funding system is equitable and it's transformed. It needs to be transparent. We need to make sure that the money is following the child. It needs to be distributed more equitably. And we need to make sure that at every level there's accountability from the teacher, the principal, the school boards. We need to make sure that there is accountability, that the right reforms are happening.
And that the parents are educated about what's happening too, so that they can be involved. I think that's a huge component that I'm always preaching about. All right, stay with us. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the new Latino majority in public schools.